Hi, I'm Mike, this is Ben, and if your name is Alex, you watch your back. We are coming for you. Welcome to Rocks Fall, Everyone Dies. Ben and I are huge fans of Forgotten Realms, Eberron, Planescape, Dark Sun, and other published campaign settings, but let's be honest. For a lot of us, 9 out of 10 games we play are going to be in a setting devised by the DM.
Sometimes it's just because we want to do a one-off session with an unusual gimmick, and sometimes it's because the DM was on a creation kick and accidentally wrote an entire world.
Yeah, I've done that. And also sometimes it's just easier to write a smaller setting than it is to understand Faerunian politics.
Oh yeah. Whatever reason you have to be running an unpublished campaign setting, you could probably use these tricks to make your setting a little more interesting. First things first, you need a hook. This is true of any good story, but it goes doubly so for a campaign setting. If you can sell your players on your setting's premise in 1 or 2 sentences, they'll be way more eager to explore it and poke around.
Your hook should be simple, but important enough to distinguish your campaign setting from all the others out there. For our Dark Matter campaign setting,
which is on Kickstarter right now,
like I was saying, in our Dark Matter campaign setting, we made a world that's ostensibly sci-fi. It's got spacecraft and blasters and robots.
Oh my.
But everything is powered by magic, so we've got warlocks and druids running around, growing spaceships out of trees, and powering them with devil magic. It's an all-inclusive sci-fi setting that works with classic D&D. That's your hook.
Pledge now!
Calm down, Ben.
Pledge.
If you want an easy hook, start with something like, it's like every fantasy world you ever played, but... and then flip one of the big fantasy assumptions on its head.
Something like, but the orcs are the smart civilized ones.
Or, but the world is underwater.
Or, but it's set in an alternate history Confederate America. There's one for you. There's tons of potential for whole campaign settings made out of just one good subversion.
One of the secrets to building a fascinating campaign setting is the Powder Keg Principle. Stuff your campaign setting so full of intrigue that it's like a warehouse stacked with barrels of gunpowder. One bump, and you might set them all off.
Everything should be precarious at a tenuous moment of stability before the players come in and upset the balance.
You should try to tangle up your factions with backstabby politics. There should be imminent undead uprising and nations on the edge of war. Your villains should be poised to succeed at a moment's notice. That is, if the player characters don't step in.
Bonus points if you throw in an Inquisition.
Nobody expects that. This type of setting is dynamic, it gives players something to influence the world, and it gives you space to write exciting adventures no matter how far the players try to wander from the main quest.
While you're busy trying to stuff your world full of as many adventure hooks as possible, take a close look at what's extraneous in the setting. We call this building by subtraction. You can make a lot of interesting stuff happen by removing the useless parts of an RPG world.
Okay, so, gnomes and halflings. I'm not D&D racist, but they're pretty much identical, right? Sure, one of them is better at magic and the other one is 2 furry feet away from being the subject of a Tolkien estate lawsuit. But for most fantasy worlds, one of them is basically redundant.
So, you can either bend over backwards to make them seem as different as possible, or just cut one of them from the campaign world. They're gone, easy as that.
Sometimes you can even get away with cutting the really important races too. Imagine a fantasy world where all the dwarves were devoured by a dragon like 100 years ago. Now you've got this interesting dynamic. Dwarven engineering is still top-notch, but it's all ancient history now. Maybe on your adventures you can uncover abandoned mountain cities swarming with kobolds and dragons.
That sounds like a really good hook.
It's like a twisted Tolkien kind of thing, yeah.
If you really want to mess with things, you can even look at abolishing one type of magic from the game. Maybe there aren't any clerics in this setting, maybe druids fill that role.
Maybe there aren't any wizards. Magic is too strange and unknowable and has a tendency to drive men mad.
You could also cut for preference too, like, maybe you want to cut rangers since they're not that interesting to begin with.
Ben, we're gonna piss off the comment section. Okay, we should stop there for the day. Off to the Mailbag of Holding! Is it that one?
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, welcome to the Mailbag of Holding. This is a section where we're going to respond to your comments on the last video, which was about 5 reasons you might not want to play D&D 5th Edition, our favorite RPG. Starting off, Laser says, to be fair, these aren't really reasons for not playing D&D, but reasons you should give a chance to different RPGs. Yeah, that's the case. We think if you're an RPG person, if you're someone who likes RPGs, that this is kind of for you. But 5th edition isn't scratching your itch, that we should look at reasons like it might not be, and other things you could look at to scratch that itch. And also because we just didn't want to be like super negative the whole time. If we're gonna say don't do X, we want to give you kind of other options. And I thought this video was a fun way of doing that. So yeah, no, it's less about why you shouldn't play D&D and why other games are pretty good. Tim Curtis talked a little bit about player burnout and system burnout, the idea that if you end up playing it a little bit too much, you'll just get tired of it. And yeah, I agree with that. That's actually a reason to kind of quit any system, that you just need something new. Although that's not something that we can really talk about as something that D&D isn't giving you. I mean, it can't be variety on its own, but I think that's kind of something you do to yourself, the burnout. If you play too much D&D and it kind of drives you insane and you can't stand the look of it anymore, okay, I mean, maybe do some shorter one-offs to kind of break up the tedium, experiment with not DMing all the time, try to mess with the system a little bit yourself. I think there's other ways to kind of keep playing a system, even if you're feeling a little bit burned down on, to kind of like revitalize it. So there's not really a good solution to that one besides switch to another similar-ish system. Submortimer, whatever, says, if you're not a fan of modular role-playing... Sorry, Submortimer, we love you. If you're not a fan of modular role-playing systems, you should check out Savage World and GURPS. Yeah, and a lot of people mentioned GURPS. We actually did have it in the original script of this video. It ended up getting cut because we didn't think if you don't like class systems was a strong enough reason to kind of move away from D&D. So we ended up kind of changing the script around. But yeah, GURPS is a fantastic alternative, and so is Savage Worlds too. It's kind of classic D&D. If you're someone who doesn't like to be constrained by these kind of class-based systems, I am a rogue, I am a cleric, I am a fighter, whatever, something like GURPS, or something that's like very skill-based, where you just select a bunch of stuff you're good at instead of being constrained to a class. These are significantly more liberating systems for character creation, and something like Savage World or GURPS is definitely worth giving a shot if that sounds interesting to you. T Squared complains that their DM has been slightly evil because while they're playing 5th edition, their DM has been bringing in stuff from earlier editions like 2nd edition and 3.5, and asks, is there any way to get this to stop other than asking them? So, pro tip, the solution every time if you're a player or a DM that has a problem with another player or your DM, the solution is always talk to them and ask them to stop. At the end of the day, these are all social problems, right? It's a social game. We talk to other people, and that's how we get our problems solved. But specifically for this one, you can talk about how 5th edition is a game that doesn't streamline a whole lot, but it sets hard design restrictions on itself to keep things moving in a very streamlined way. So there's a lot of mechanics and systems that simply don't make an appearance in 5th edition, even though they could, simply to keep things moving just real quick. And that's why it can be complicated to add systems and monsters and stuff that don't buy into the 5e philosophy. It can really make the game feel a lot crunchier than it ought to be, and that can turn people off. Cleric of Chaos 1 brought up something that I hadn't thought of when we were making this video, and it's a really good point, and I don't have a solution to it. But I thought I'd bring it up and see what you all thought about it. He says, it is hard to find games, or players that are interested in games other than D&D, because D&D is the most popular RPG out there right now. And yeah, I think that's a really good point. If you're just trying to find a pickup game with a bunch of strangers, or you're trying to convince your friends to move over to a new system that they haven't heard of and they haven't heard vetted, yeah, that's actually probably going to be pretty hard, and I hadn't thought about that. So yeah, if you don't have a regular group of players and you're trying to get up some obscure RPG for a new group, they are probably not going to be 100% on board for that. So yeah, that's a tough problem. I don't have a solution for it, but thank you for pointing it out. That's something for me to chew on. Penguin Life 1572 asks, Ben is Puffin Forest, right? No, Ben is not Puffin Forest. Puffin Forest is a different Ben, and a very talented person. Go check out his channel. It's wonderful. But yeah, we have never met Puffin Forest as much as we would like to. He seems like a cool guy. Garbage Trash great redundant name, says, you know what I need? A how to RP as a Kenku for Dummies guide. And I've got a short story to tell on this. We actually did this as a character for a one-off. We haven't played like a Kenku for an extended campaign, but what we largely did was we kind of wrote up his backstory in bullet points of quotes. And we just had this big list of quotes of sometimes funny things that people have shouted at him in different accents, and sometimes like deeply tragic monologues, and he could use small or large chunks of it, but only things from that page were the thing he was allowed to say. So this was really fun because at the table it restricted him from saying a lot of stuff. He had to pick and choose words and remember the accents that were all written down for them, but also sometimes he was able to deliver these large monologues from his past if it was appropriate enough to the situation, and it kind of let the character, like, his backstory just organically unfold as if snippets from out of his past were copied and pasted into the present. It was a combination of like tragic and uplifting. It was a really fun character. So if you're looking to play a Kenku, that's a good direction to take it. As long as you set those hard rules for yourself, you can have a lot of fun with it. Okay, and that's all I've got for this episode of Mailbag of Holding. If you'd like to make it into an episode of Mailbag of Holding, leave a comment below on this video talking about things that you've done to make cool campaign settings, or cool campaign settings that you've seen that you really, really liked. And we'll respond to it on next episode's Mailbag of Holding. That's all I've got. Thanks for watching!
If you like D&D and wish there was more stuff out there for 5th edition, consider checking out our blog, Mage Hand Press, or our Patreon, where you can support this show and get tons of cool stuff for 5th edition.
And oh my god, we're running a Kickstarter right now for our new book, Dark Matter. I don't know if we've mentioned it several times. Seriously, it's awesome. It's a great book. Go check out our Kickstarter, Dark Matter. There will be links in the description. Oh my god, please buy a copy.
We're super excited if you can't tell.
Yeah, I mean, we're stoked. I mean, we have like 4 videos on here already about it, but yeah, it's, man, great book. Also, Ben and I are running a D20 Modern setting, which is just like the modern day, except you've liked, commented, and subscribed. Also, I'm an underwear wizard.
And that's all we got for today.
I guess that's the outro. We didn't say whatever.
Yeah. No. Underwear wizard's great.
That's where we're signing off. Yeah. Underwear wizard. Okay. Mm-hmm. Cool.
So do you like manipulate people's underwear, or do you draw your power from your own underwear?
I conjure underwear and use it as sort of a weapon and defense, and little underwear golems. And look, it's a great character. What are we doing?